There's a story from ancient China that has survived for over 2,000 years. It's only a few paragraphs long. You can read it in 2 minutes, but the people who truly understand it, they say it has the power to change how you experience literally everything that happens to you. Every loss, every win, every disappointment, every unexpected turn. Because this story teaches you something that your mind is fundamentally wired to resist. That you have no idea whether what just happened is good or bad. And more importantly, that your desperate need to label it is the very thing that's making you suffer. The story goes like this. Once upon a time, in a small village on the northern border of China, there lived an old farmer. He was not wealthy, but he had a small piece of land, a modest home, and one horse, a strong, beautiful horse that helped him plow his fields. He also had a son he loved dearly. One morning, the farmer woke up and discovered that the barn door was open and his horse had run away, gone, vanished into the hills. His neighbors heard the news and came to console him. "What terrible luck," they said. "Your only horse, gone. How will you plow your fields? You must be devastated." The old farmer shrugged and said, "Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows what is good or bad?" The neighbors walked away, shaking their heads. The old man had clearly lost his mind along with his horse. A week passed, and then the horse returned, and it was not alone. Following behind it were 7 wild horses, magnificent and strong. The neighbors rushed back. "Incredible! Amazing! What incredible fortune! Now you have 8 horses. You are rich. This is the best thing that could have happened." The old farmer looked at the 7 wild horses, then back at his neighbors. He said, "Maybe, maybe not. Who knows what is good or bad?" The neighbors exchanged glances. This man was impossible. Now the farmer had a son, a strong young man, and with these new wild horses, the son was eager to train them. Day after day, he worked with the horses, until one morning, one of the wild horses threw him hard. His leg was shattered. The village healer did what he could, but the son would walk with a limp for the rest of his life. The neighbors returned. This time, they were certain they were right. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. Your only son, crippled. Just when things were looking up. This is the worst luck imaginable. The old farmer stood at his son's bedside. "Maybe," he said. "Maybe not. We shall see." A month later, war broke out. The emperor's soldiers marched into the village. Every able-bodied young man was conscripted, dragged from his home and sent to the northern border, where the fighting was fiercest. Almost none of them would return. When the soldiers came to the farmer's home, they saw his son, lying in bed with a shattered leg, useless to the army. They turned and left. The old farmer's son was the only young man in the village who survived. Now tell me, was the horse running away good luck or bad luck? Was the son breaking his leg a tragedy, or the thing that saved his life? You don't know. You can't know. And here's the truth that this story is designed to cut through. Neither do you know, right now, whether what's happening to you is good or bad. Your brain has a job, and it takes that job very seriously. Its job is to label things, quickly, decisively, without hesitation. Good, bad, safe, dangerous, win, loss, blessing, curse. It does this for a reason. Survival. If your ancestors hesitated too long about whether that rustling in the bushes was a tiger or just the wind, they didn't become your ancestors. But here's the problem. Your brain's labeling system was designed for immediate physical threats, not for the complex, unfolding narrative of a human life. When you lose your job, your brain screams, terrible, catastrophic, life over. It does not and cannot consider that in 6 months you might find work that is more fulfilling, that the person you meet at that new job might become your closest friend, that the skills you learn during the transition might redefine your career. Your brain can only see the first move on the chessboard, but life is playing the whole game. The Taoists had a name for this principle. They called it Pu, the uncarved block. A block of wood, before it is carved, contains infinite possibilities. It could become a spoon, a flute, a Buddha statue, a weapon, a tool. You don't know, but the moment you carve it, the moment you label it, you collapse all those possibilities into one. You force the universe into a story that your limited mind can understand. And in doing that, you miss almost everything. So the question becomes, how do you actually do this? How do you stop labeling everything as good or bad when your brain is screaming at you to judge? Here are 3 shifts. None of them are easy. All of them work. 1. Add yet to every judgment. Your startup failed. This is the worst thing that could happen. Yet. Your relationship ended. I'll never recover from this. Yet. You didn't get the thing you wanted. This is a disaster. Yet. Yet is not toxic positivity. It's not pretending the pain isn't real. It's acknowledging that the story is not finished. The old farmer never denied that losing the horse was inconvenient. He never said the broken leg wasn't painful. He simply refused to write the final chapter before it had been written. Can you hold the pain, the genuine, real pain, and also leave room for the possibility that this pain belongs to a larger story you cannot yet see? Because that's not optimism, that's wisdom. 2. Remember a time when a bad thing turned out to be a turning point. Think about your own life for a moment. What is the worst thing that ever happened to you? Now ask yourself, did anything good eventually come from it? Did it redirect you? Did it teach you something you couldn't have learned any other way? Did it make you who you are? Almost everyone has at least one story like this. A rejection that saved them from the wrong path. A failure that taught them what actually mattered. A loss that opened space for something they didn't know they needed. If you can look back and see that past disasters were not purely disastrous, what makes you so certain that this one is? 3. Ask yourself the old farmer's question. The next time something happens, good or bad, pause. Before you celebrate, before you despair, ask yourself, do I actually know what this means? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You almost never do. The job offer you're celebrating might lead to burnout. The rejection you're mourning might be the universe clearing the path. And the old farmer, standing in his quiet field, 2,000 years ago, he already understood this. Not because he was special, but because he had lived long enough to know that the story is always longer than you think. Here's the thing that blows my mind. Modern psychology has a concept called affective forecasting. It's the study of how well humans predict their future emotional states, and the results are humbling. We are terrible at it. When researchers asked people how they would feel 6 months after a breakup, a job loss, or even a serious injury, people consistently predicted they would be far more devastated, for far longer than they actually were. The same thing happened with positive events. People predicted that winning the lottery or getting a promotion would make them permanently happier. It didn't. We overestimate the impact of individual events, both good and bad, because we forget something the old farmer never forgot. That life keeps unfolding. That each event is not an ending, but a link in a chain. That the story is always still being written. The neuroscientist and philosopher Sam Harris once said something that could have come directly from the old farmer's lips. The present situation, no matter how good or bad it seems, is not the whole story. It's barely even the first chapter. The Taoists called this Wu Wei, effortless action, not passivity, not indifference, but a kind of deep, relaxed trust in the unfolding of things. You do what you can. You show up, you work, you love, you try, and then you let go of needing to know. Let me leave you with one final image. The old farmer, decades later, still working his land. His son, now grown, walking beside him, with a limp, yes, but alive. Married, with children of his own. And the horse? The one that ran away, it died of old age, many years later, in that same barn, surrounded by its offspring, the 7 wild horses that had followed it home. The neighbors never did understand the farmer. They continued to rush over with every piece of news, every judgment, every label, and every time, the farmer would look at them with the same quiet eyes and say the same thing. Maybe. Maybe not. We shall see. If this story hit you, if you recognized yourself in the neighbors, rushing to label everything as good or bad, take a moment and ask yourself, what am I labeling right now that I actually have no idea about? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. And sometimes, just naming the label is the first step toward loosening its grip. If you want more stories like this, ancient parables that actually speak to the life you're living right now, subscribe and turn on the bell. New videos every week. The horse will run away. The horse will come back. Your son will break his leg. It will save his life. You don't know. You can't know. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most liberating thing you've ever heard.